In this experience, I would find myself enlisted in the Army or a type of Ranger Corps. Me and a few others were dispatched to a foreign country to carry out a grab and go mission, but it went awry and led to our evacuation. I could see that my reason for being here was not because I wanted to actively participate in the drama, but rather I was undercover. And during my undercover escapade, a woman who was also in the military tried to befriend me, unaware of my intent. So once we came back from being evacuated, me and this lady sat at a bench when all of a sudden another member from this military group stormed toward us. And when he stormed toward us, he was wearing a bulletproof vest, and he looked a lot like this one character from a video game. It's like an undercover mission. Let's see. Yeah, so he stormed toward us and he demanded to know which one of us was the secret agent. In this moment, it was clear that only one of us, being me and the woman, were getting up from the table. We both weren't able to survive in the situation. That was very clear. So I still having a mission to complete said, "It's her," referring to the lady beside me. The man pulled a rifle and pointed it at her, but looked to me before firing and asking, "But how do you know?" In answer, how do you know? An answer he didn't find agreeable would absolutely put me in another position. So I said, "Well, she doesn't eat pork and she doesn't swear or curse," which was the case overseas before too. The lady maintained a goody-goody image, so it seemed more plausible to be her, and he agreed, firing upon her as she attempted to run. The man with the rifle, now turning to me, helps me off the bench and leads me to a van. We get in and drive to one of the tallest skyscrapers in the city, looking like New York or Chicago or some other major city. Going to the very top, I would walk onto a helipad, greeted by a man who had a foreign accent, maybe an Egyptian or Moroccan, or even from like a Dubai type of area. He was large in the belly and had a beard of white, just like the hair on his head. He walked me down a set of stairs to a penthouse and voiced his concerns about security, which was a recent break-in. And just when he said that, we stood in front of the door, which had shattered glass. Walking inside now, it seemed very large and very kind of picturesque. It had these cocktail waitresses wearing masks and a very high ceiling. And as well, of course, it was on top of a skyscraper. Anyways, it appears I was this man's security consultant. And he then led me to a TV on the wall, which displayed security camera footage, and when I turned to my right, I saw Bill Gates sitting down eating a chicken salad. These two characters, it became very clear, were close and in business with one another. The larger man also then mentioned how a wedding of his was taking place and wished the skies would be clear. I had the impression now that he was referring to chemtrails and seeding the clouds and making the skies clear, manipulating the weather. But it was very interesting because, again, these people, it was very clear, were very cutthroat. Just because I was their security consultant doesn't mean that they really trusted me. And I could see that. So they were more so kind of feeling me out. So when he mentioned this, I could tell that he was referring to the seeding the clouds and manipulating the weather. So I knew that they didn't really want me to know about that. They wanted to see what I knew about that. And so I kind of played oblivious and said, "Oh, well, we could choose another day." I kind of played it off. And we went back to talking about the security camera footage, and he kept mentioning how he wanted the skies to be clear. And I said, "Well, let me review the security camera footage, and I'll take a look at, what's going on and certain things like that." And yet again, he brought up the weather manipulation, wanting to see what I knew. And I kind of just straight up told him, I said, "Well, it's not like the weather can be changed or anything," kind of almost saying like, "Well, I don't really know." And all of a sudden, Bill Gates over there, he kind of chuckled. He kind of chuckled under his breath because, again, they're all very involved in that sort of activity. When I'm saying this right now, I'm getting like this vibrations they kind of don't want me to share, but Anyways, he kind of chuckled under his breath because, again, they're very involved in all of that. And the guy just kind of laughed it off. And so he seemed content with knowing that, at least being under the impression or thinking that I didn't know anything about the activities that they were involved in. So he kind of let that go. And I told him I would review the footage. And again, we ended up shaking hands. And when we shook hands, I knew that that was another form of a test too. He wanted to see how I was going to shake his hand, not in any form of like a secret handshake or anything like that, but he wanted to see how firm my handshake was. Did I actually have the confidence to be there, or what was the idea? So when I shook his hand, I did a very firm handshake, and he told me, "You have a very strong arm." That's what I think he said, something. "You have a very strong arm or a firm hand," or something like that. And he seemed like impressed. So, because again, it was like a form of a test. And so anyways, after that, I walked out of their little penthouse. And when I walked out of the door, it was like I had stepped out of my home into the street. And when I stepped out into that street, I knew I was wearing my glasses because I could see kind of like the frame, the edges, and I could see kind of like the reflection of the lenses, kind of how it looks when I wear them. And what was interesting was I was not only wearing my glasses, I was wearing a pair of clip-on lenses over the top as well, which were orange in color. So they made everything around kind of look orange. And I was aware that I was wearing these lenses as well. I just had them on to, I guess, kind of see what it looked like from that position or that point of view. And so that was the experience I had to share. At the end, again, I didn't finish writing it, but thank you.
Yeah, that's cool, Jeremy. So another step there, and yeah, you see the elites, etc. They've built their position, their overview of everything. That's their idea, their penthouse, whatever. And it's interesting. There's Bill Gates, and he's eating chicken. Well, that's his followers. They're all afraid. They're all chickens, and so he's eating it up, with his support, with his chicken following support. Very interesting, chicken salad. Yeah, and it's just another step, etc., to kind of meet them or whatever. We're exposing ourselves. And see, the idea is that they want to, they see what we're doing. They want to try and entice us in some way. And you look at the words that they're saying. Like he'll say, "Oh, you have a very strong handshake," etc. And that can be a friendly gesture. But again, these people are, their whole aura, their whole being basically is to, take over and get others to agree with their takeover, etc. And so, yeah, they bring in these little signals. It's like a person that wants to control others. They'll build them up. This is what the elites do to the people that they politicians and whatever. They build them up into something that, "Oh, you're this, you're that, you're really good, you could do this," etc. It's a constant buildup. The internet goes off and on here. It was going off and on while you're talking to, because we're getting closer and it bothers them. So they bother the internet here too. But yeah, it's just another step, and it's okay. But you have the courage to face them. And so, as to what you're doing here too, so you get to do something like I do, whatever, whoever steps up, and going through all this, because got to face all of them. And most people don't want to do that. They don't want to face these people and etc. because they want to pretend it's something else, or they're too afraid, which is understandable. And that too was like Count Albert of the Dragon family. Could have helped a lot, but he didn't want to do it. I saw him on the real side. He was just totally scared. So yeah, another step. And again, everything is agreement, whatever they agree to, and what they're doing is fine, because our position is awareness. That's the whole idea, and we're just playing in creation. to do what we do. That's the whole idea. It's not about what we can get. It's about what we can utilize to, promote something of a benefit to help people wake up. That's the whole idea, because that's the only value is awareness. Everything else will just come and go, and what they have, they can have it. It all is nothing. And so, from the human view, the richest people in the world seem to mean something, but realistically, it means nothing. It's all made out of nothing. So, this is part of the adventure, Jeremy, and you're stepping up, which is good, and you're aware, and this can help them. And I'm dealing with the same thing with the bonds and the people I'm meeting too worldwide, and getting acceptance in certain areas, but have to be creative and know what you're doing. And so you're being put through the drill here. So that, as long as you keep stepping up, you'll learn more and be able to handle this, which is the best part. Yeah, thank you.